Hey guys, Ivan here. Today I'm going to be talking about The Tipping Point, written by the one and only Malcolm Gladwell in the year 2002. In the entire book, Gladwell gives a nice lecture on how specific factors can lead to exponential spread of ordinary messages, or in other words, how even the tiniest spark can spread like wildfire. Gladwell then dives deep into specific instances of the spreading of epidemics, such as during the American Revolution, when Paul Revere was able to successfully spread the message that the British were coming to the American colonists because he had many social connections and was an extremely skilled communicator. TV show Sesame Street was able to teach children how to read because it mixed together puppets and people on screen and also made the TV episodes interactive in order for children to remember. Blue's Clues not only made it interactive, but also repeated each episode 5 times a week to make the reading lessons more memorable than Sesame Street. A few years ago, crime dramatically depleted in New York due to the simple act of removing graffiti on New York subway trains and harsher police officers in arresting criminals. And finally, Gladwell concludes with the smoking epidemic solution by number 1, helping fight depression for smoking addicts, and 2, make sure that smokers do not exceed the nicotine addiction borderline, or the tipping point of smoking. All of this boils down to Gladwell's purpose, which is to persuade people about the possibility of the dramatic spread of epidemics, and to persuade people that human society can be changed easily. And his argument is, to appreciate the power of epidemics, we have to abandon this expectation about proportionality. We need to prepare ourselves for the possibility that sometimes big changes follow from small events, and that sometimes these changes can happen very quickly. Since Tipping Point is a lecture, there are some primary ideas that Gladwell displays. For example, the first one is right in the title, the tipping point, which is the moment of critical mass, the threshold, or the boiling point for an epidemic to exponentially grow. And with this comes Gladwell's 3 laws of epidemics. The first law of epidemics is the law of the few, which states that epidemics are driven by exceptional people, such as connectors, mavens, salesmen, senders. An example of this would be the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere, mentioned earlier. The second law of epidemics states that there's a stickiness factor, which is the specific ways of making contagious messages memorable, relatively simple changes in presentation and structuring of information that can make a difference in how much impact it makes, and when a message becomes practical and personal, it becomes memorable. An example of this is mentioned earlier, again, in Sesame Street and in the Blue Clues TV show. And finally, the third law is the power of context. Epidemics are strongly influenced by specific situation. Specific situations may overwhelm predispositions, and humans are more attuned to personal cues than contextual cues.